Wedding cakes come in all shapes and sizes, so let's go and speak to Massimo, the master cake designer from Italy.
Well, we're here just outside Cardiff in Zucchero's. I'm here with Massimo. Thank you for letting us in today. How are you?
I'm fine, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, brilliant. So you're one of the leading cake makers, specialising in chocolate.
That's right.
How did you initially come into the cake making industry?
Well, it was we've been going about 9 years. So wedding cake was something that came out a bit later, but patisserie is really my background, where I started about over 25 years ago back in Italy when I was a little boy. And then from there I've developed all the skills, traveling, worked all over the world, places like London. I worked with the Savoy Group, I worked with the Intercontinental, Gordon Ramsay at the Aubergine. So basically focusing on Michelin star restaurant and 5-star hotels. Also traveled then to Bermuda, New Zealand, Australia, and then it was just about over 2001 when I came down to Wales as a development chef for Max Spencer.
For a bride and groom to make the cake a feature of the wedding, what could they do to make it really stand out in terms of presentation?
Yes, what I always suggest is that something that I always say: a bride and a groom will get married once. So I think it's important that when they come to making a choice of a cake, I know this might seem strange, but it all depends on the venue. For example, if someone a couple comes to me and says we're getting married at the City Hall, straight away I think you need something high. It's no point going into the City Hall with a 3-tier cake. It's going to look like that, massive room, lots of going on around the room. The guests are going to walk in the room and the eyes are going to start wandering, and the cake gets missed out then. So to me, it's important the height. So then I would suggest go for a croquembouche or go for the individual, because we can get a nice height with that. With the cake, with all good intention, we do up to 8 tiers plus the chocolate sculpture, but for example, the croquembouche we can go up to 4 feet high, and we can do even further up if we go with individual. Let's say it's 200 individual, we go up to 12 tiers. And also then the other thing that will make you sort of choose a different design would be then if they can use it as a dessert or just as a cake. That depends on the venue, because some venues they will insist on using their own desserts and as a part of the package.
Okay. What should a bride and groom consider in terms of choosing their wedding cake makers?
Well, like I guess any other business, but it's quite important they're a reputable company. I've had a lot of couples have come here that they paid the deposit with someone and couldn't find them for whatever reason. There is a lot of businesses going into the wedding market as a weekend job, but yeah, that's important. That recommendation, for example, where they're part of I'm part of a wedding guild now in Wales, for example, and all the people on there are all reputable company. That's quite important, because there's nothing worse than in a wedding day you don't have a wedding cake when you paid for it or something like that. Try the cake, for example. Make sure that what they taste at wedding fair is actually going to be the same on the day, because there's a lot of story I've heard of, and this is when we first started, that's why we don't do traditional, a lot of stories where they had the cake at the wedding and it was dry and it just goes straight in the bin. And there's a lot of companies focus on the decoration, of the cake, so it might look good, but then when you go into it, it doesn't deliver, and at the end of the day, it's food.
Well, that brings us to the close of another show, and you've had a very good show today, haven't
I
you?
have indeed. Well, I'm telling you, the interview with Massimo, it was a piece of cake. It really was. And
Don't
what a
rub
nice,
it in. Don't rub it
a very
in.
nice piece of cake that was as well.
Don't rub it in. Well, as I say, on our next show, we're looking for people who want to tell them what we're looking for.
Wait,
People who